Hello, welcome everybody to Spotlights and Encores with Tim and Brad, sponsored by the Dynamite Collective. Today, Brad, we have a very, very special guest, Sarah Brabbs. She's a consultant, she's a coach, she's a teacher, she's a speaker, she's an author, and most importantly, she is a great, great friend. So let's get started with the Spotlights section and Sarah Brabbs. Sarah, thank you for joining us today. I'm so glad that you're able to be a part of Spotlights and Encores with Tim and Brad. There is so much that I would like to talk to you about, so we're going to move through a number of topics pretty rapidly. But gosh, I know that you have been very busy in the last few years. You're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a speaker, you're a teacher. But what I want to start our conversation off with is about being an author. And this book, So People Say You're an Asshole, absolutely love this. I've bought it for many, many people in the past. And this has been just a great book. Cool. So, my question about the book, Sarah, is I know that it's been out for a while, but if you had to say, what is the number one thing, the absolutely best thing that has come out of writing this book? That's what I want to hear about.
The best thing has been the assholes that have sort of wondered why they're called assholes, kind of known that they're a bit of an asshole, and are slightly curious about why all of the things that make them repeatedly called an asshole and behave like an asshole. It's those stories, which have so far actually all been men, that people have come up to me at speaking engagements or comments and emails saying that they just didn't realize how easy and a little bit there was to look at things differently with their behavior and how people see them and how they see themselves that can really make their relationships better. So I would say it's the blind spot that assholes with a slight bit of curiosity, when they explore that, what it does for their relationships, their lives, themselves. That's the reason why I wrote it. So.
Yeah. Have you ever had any bad experiences where people were like, this insulted me, this hurt my feelings? Did you get any feedback like that?
I did. There is actually just recently, I haven't looked at my Amazon reviews in a while. In the last couple of weeks, I was working on redoing my website. So I looked at them and I'm sorry. I wish I could respond to Amazon reviewers because I just have so many things I wanted to say. This woman said something like, this book didn't work. I bought it for my brother who needs to be less of an asshole. And instead he just loved it. And now he's more of an asshole. So buyer beware or something like that.
That's
and I thought to myself, I have so many questions and thoughts, but I thought to myself, this is a bit of like, know your audience with your brother. If someone isn't interested in not being an asshole or doesn't really care to learn things or be less of an asshole, like if it's a pride thing, that's not someone that I would give my book.
Not target.
Especially when if you picture this woman, she's sort of like, please be less of an asshole. Here's a book, right? And that doesn't work with people who enjoy being an asshole or who are sociopaths or the people that I literally say, this is not for you.
Yeah.
So it made me laugh, and I just wish I could, but I feel like readers have their own judgment. They can figure things out if it's not. It's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah, not the ideal target audience for that, but that's so hilarious. So, you writing this book, your entrepreneurial spirit in general, has been part of, building the beginnings of the Dynamite Collective. And I know that you and Brad talked a little bit about writing and about book publishing. Brad, do you remember some of the things that Sarah shared with you? Did you talk about writing specifically?
I think we talked about sort of the motivation behind it and what you want to do. And it was, for me, it was just sort of an inspirational chat, right? To actually be able to talk to somebody who has written a book and published a book and understands all the mechanisms involved in it, which there are obviously many. And I hadn't met someone like that before. I mean, as you both know, there's sort of music in our backgrounds, but this was so new to me that I didn't know who to turn to. And when Sarah wrote this book, it was so it was so nice to be able just to call somebody and say, can you please tell me sort of how you did it, or what were the pitfalls, or give me any piece of advice you possibly could. I mean, to have someone to lean on just a tiny little bit was amazing, and it helped so much at the end of the day.
Yeah. So thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you.
From both of us. But what are you up to now? So I've learned a little bit about what's happening lately in your professional world, and I saw a conversation called Compass. I love how there's such purpose in that conversation, but then shifting journeys and intuitive journeys. Tell us a little bit about that, and most importantly, I was curious about what the difference is between the two, shifting and intuitive journeys.
Sure. So the last few years, I spent a lot of time learning about what it would be like to take what I do online. And I was pretty naive. In 2019, I started down this journey, and it turns out there's a lot of, there's a cesspool online with online creators and manipulative people. And so after a while of doing a couple different courses, I first started out doing courses online called Ethical Impact Online, which were the opposite of my plans. Kind of like I wasn't planning on writing a book about assholes, but that became more important. So I did. Just like that, I thought, I'm gonna help people avoid these kind of get road ready for if they want to make a decision to do that. So anyways, if you fast forward to now, I have an online community. It's a membership community. I've had it kind of on and off throughout the whole pandemic, but just through my journey of learning and bandwidth and lots of things that I went through along with everyone else over the last few years, I started to bring it into fruition more so this year and open it up to the public. So I do a course called Intuitive Journeys. And that is it's best for people that are in a season of uncertainty or change, and they'd have a sense that they know something is going on here that is really important for them to attend to. And so I use the compass as a framework because it's just a perfect framework. And I developed it a few years ago, and I've been using it with clients and stuff to kind of hone in on what's most important right now and who you are right now and what to focus on right now. And I don't tell people, I'm the kind of coach that I ask good questions. I lead people through inquiry. I help them arrive and be empowered at wherever they need to be. And so Intuitive Journeys is a whole experience of going deep into who you are, who you're not, and what you'll do and what you learn, and kind of experimenting with what you discover and playing it out in your life. So it's just, I'm doing it in small groups. And right now my community is basically anyone not male. For various reasons. But my workshops where I teach this tool, which it becomes kind of an alignment and decision-making tool when people understand how to use it. That's for anyone, any adults that resonate with, they would like an intuitive tool in their toolbox of life. So those are what I actually have a couple that I'm doing. I do them in chunks every two or three times a year. So I have some coming up that I'm doing, and my course next starts in 3 weeks or so. So that's what I'm very focused on, and what lights me up every day is my community. It's called Impact and Integrity. And integrity, the original meaning of the word, whole within oneself, not divided. So that's the Latin meaning of it, not like morally superior and ethical. It's been fun. I got distracted right before this interview because I made a bingo game for us related to our compass northward journeys. And I surprised my community members with it just before this. So that's stuff I'm doing. The other thing I'm doing in my speaking, consulting, coaching world outside of the community, I'm working on a new talk. I have the new talk developed, and it's called Assholes Among Us. And I've been working on this really since last fall, as I have observed assholes becoming more normal and normalized over the last few years. My book came out in 2016, and it was before many things shifted that have now become the norm, you know?
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of thoughts about all of the asshole behaviors and people, and how we have become assholes at times. And it's just, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that there's some continuation on that topic, because I think a couple of years ago I like woke up one morning and I was like, oh my gosh, if there's someone that could have an impact on people from all walks of life, the right, the left, big, small, rich, poor, it would be Sarah, because everything that you do is inclusive, and nobody, I think, thinks twice about politics or, anything like that. It's all about just getting deeply to the point. And I love that part of what you're doing here today has intuitive in the naming, in the scheme, because in my entire life, I don't think I've ever met anyone who can understand a complicated emotional thoughts behind what, seems like to be such a complex relationship conundrum as you. And I thought, well, maybe it's just me that Sarah does this when we speak or when we talk, that she picks up on things so quickly. But I've read your reviews. I've looked at the website. I've heard video testimony that it's not just me. I wanted to be special. But that's something that you've been able to accomplish with people from all over the place. And I've seen it. I have to admit, I've seen it just with strangers that we've run into on a walk or out for coffee. So glad that intuitive is in there, Sarah, because that's something that I think is just an amazing quality that you have.
Sarah, one of the things that, and sort of listening to you speak and what you had sort of going on at the moment, and this sort of idea of community, is I was curious, in a super positive way, what you get back from this. Again, I don't mean that any sort of negative way, and I suppose the funny answer would just be money, but sort of for you and for yourself and for your sort of personal journey that you're on, what do you get back from doing this?
That's a great question. Building a community intentionally that's sustainable and healthy with autonomous people who choose and delight in being part of it has been a dream of mine, but I didn't see a path or a platform that would work. And so I'm happy to answer this question. So what I get out of it is I get to participate and build at the same time. And I really, my understanding and mindset really shifted in my entire life and business when I started to really embrace the idea of community in a healthy way. Because there's weird communities that are really just a membership community where you pay an expert to help you with something and they call it a community. And that's not how I see it. So a community is really where my job is to guide it, build it, show up in it, help in it, but I distribute power as a way of being because it's their community as much as it is mine. So it's very much a shared space. And I've seen it happen where it is just as important who is around you in a space or a course or whatever, as it is the material and what you're learning, because it's the people around you that are equally, if not more important. So what I try to do, and I've always done this my whole life, but when I understood there's a framework for this, several years ago, was bring people together because there's a synergy and kind of a magic and a ripple impact that goes out into the world with the right people in the right room. And I'm very good at doing that. And so this is a way to actually formalize it. Yes, get paid doing it and create something really special that people join. They get, when I have women in my courses, they come into the course, which is about 3 months long, but it's actually a year membership in the community. So it's that there's a lot of reasons to that. But in my experience, a lot of people have not they haven't lived being in a healthy community, what that's like. They don't even know that that's a thing or it's possible or how good it is. So it's not a selling point typically because they understand the value of the people and the structure and the support that happens there once they're in it, So that's why it's to bring them together so that everything that we're doing is quintuplified, if that was a word.
I like
synergy, synergy superpower,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's why we also want to kind of consider you part of our larger community in the Dynamite Collective of just artists and people who are doing things that we love. And so thank you so much for being a part of the show today, Sarah. Hey, can you stick around for our next segment, the Encore segment, where we bring out something from the archive?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Encore segment of Spotlights and Encores with Tim and Brad. Sarah, thank you so much for sticking around and joining us here in this segment. Brad, the reason I think I like being called the archive is because then I'm less likely to be called a hoarder. I've just got so much stuff. I've got pictures, I got ticket stubs, I've got pamphlets and brochures for years. And I saved a few things, Sarah, from when we first started hanging out many, many years ago. I think we may be approaching near 20 years of friendship. And so I wanted to share something here with you today. And I have a specific purpose of why I'm doing it. But I wonder if you recognize this.
Oh, I do.
You notice I blurred out some names there because that's not really relevant to the conversation. But the reason I wanted to share this with you today is because this day, and I know you've seen this picture as well, it was from the same day. This day was attending an Elvis competition, something I think pretty renowned in historically in Ypsilanti as a Elvis impersonator event. And what I remember really specifically about this, and it reminded me about a lot of the things that we've done throughout the years, is that, you know, you went to this, you told me about it, you invited me. It was there to support a friend, a fellow artist. And that's something that we've shared through the years, whether it be going to see the Ragbirds or a shout out to our friend, the wonderful artist Toko. I've always seen you putting yourself out there, making sure you attend whenever an artist or a friend is doing something. And I've always appreciated that. Do you know where you got that trait from, how that developed?
I think the people that I love, I'm invested in. And so it's really just about following what I want to do and what brings me joy. And my friends bring me joy. Some art and artists bring me joy. And so it's not like I chose to be a self-giving, friend, supporter. That is part of it, of course, because how else will we, with artists and business owners and authors? I mean, it's like small businesses. We have to support them, right? If we care and like them and want them to stay around. So I've just luckily always wanted to go see my friends and artists and musicians that I can. And it was like following my spark that I've done my whole life. So it's really
Brad and I talked about sometimes, we do really try to, buy the art, buy the earrings, buy the, the CD, buy the book. Sometimes you're not able to do that. So sometimes it's just about showing up, right? Just that support of eyeballs and
so
people
meaningful.
there. Yeah. And you did that for us too, Sarah, with Brad and I and the music that we perform. But this picture is my daughter, Clara, and you, and somehow you guys got on the radio for this. Do you have any memory of that? You guys were on the radio. That's what that picture is. I
have no. I feel like I look like I'm 12 in that picture, but I know I'm not, because I know how old she was roughly, and when that was roughly, it was probably 20 years ago.
Yeah, my guess would be 2005, but I'm really bad with dates and ages and things. But Brad, how do you like that? Like that was the best quality cell phone picture that could be taken, I think, at the time. I may have had like a Windows flip phone or something at that point.
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
No.
Brad, is that one of the things that you'll write about in a forthcoming book? Didn't you spend a couple years as an Elvis impersonator?
No, Neil Diamond. You're close. Though.
That's right.
It was Neil Diamond. Yeah.
That was right.
Yeah. Try to get that right, would you?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on Spotlights and Encores with Tim and Brad. We're excited to have Sarah here with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed our time. Goodbye from Portland.
Goodbye from Ann Arbor.
Goodbye from not far from Brad.
Screaming